Yo guys, sorry, you already know that today we are back playing some more Raging Loop. We are almost to night again, which means somebody's gonna die, and I think we're in the timeline where I don't die tonight, because in the other ones I did. And this one, I've clearly made the right decision to at least make it one more day. Surely this time loop will eventually end with something going wrong, because, I mean, if everything went right, then the game would be over, and we have too many keys to unlock for that to be happening. But we're definitely going to make it another day. Either way, I think we're on our way back, and then Rikako is doing something with us? I don't remember. I got lost in thought again. This time Rikako-san just silently waited until I was done. She too was wearing a profound expression, hanging her head, and lost in thought. Oh, the big thing that happened last time was Haru, did, like, something. Like, whether it was her, whether it was some alternate personality, whether it was some other entity that was just, like, speaking through her, basically called us out for, like, time traveling and stuff like that, and time looping. So that's scary. That's freaky. So I'll keep that in the back of my mind. But yeah, we are ignorant mountain people. Wisdom was buried, and now we are dancing a pathetic dance. Anyone would be like that in this situation. Haruaki-sama, I see you will not go any further. What do you mean? Like I said before, I don't even have any special powers. What about special circumstances or special past? No, it does not matter. I merely want to believe that you are special, Haruaki-sama. I do not know what started it, but after seeing you through the shadow of the leaves that day, I've been thinking of nothing else but you. It could be because you helped me when I hurt my head on the Okiba, or because you called me by name. I look for reasons, but I'm still not certain. Perhaps none exists? I cherish you, Haruaki Fuseishi-sama. I feel like we're either getting to the end loop with a similar sort of romantic ending with Uematsu like we did with Chemi, or she's about to die or something. Something bad's going to happen to her that we can't do anything about. One of those two things is going to happen. So I made her say it. Rikako-san. It's fine, no need to say it. I'm not the type of person who could hope for something like that. I only said it because I had something else to say. Which would be? Please flee this place. I can't, can I? I knew that well. I believe that I could escape last time and ended up failing to protect anyone. I understand why everyone here is so afraid of this mist. It's because you can't escape it, and it will remain until the feast comes to an end. That's why I... Please, don't say it. I'm not doing this because I want your gratitude or comfort. I'm doing this as the descendant of the bedroom woman servants who must see their guests on their way back, and as a woman who treasures you. I truly want you to survive this. You have no reason to die in a place like this. I'm sure you have a place you must return to. Do not worry. Even if you have lied or become indebted, it is nothing compared to the sacrifice the mountains ask of you. So, I will help you escape. And how are you going to do that? What? That actually sounded like she knew of a way to escape this place. I wanted to ask about it. I had to, even. Despite feeling that way, though. Please don't say it. I refused. And I knew full well what that meant for her. Even though you are as good as deceased? Am I now? No, but it will surely happen if you continue this. Rikako-san, do you have any other dark secrets? Huh? She stared at me in bewilderment. You always knew that you could help someone run away if you discarded yourself and your feelings. However, you didn't know if you could go through with that, right? You didn't know if you should throw away your duty as an Uematsu and save someone, or stay in Yasumi's until the end and keep being an Uematsu. After a lot of inner conflict, you decided that letting me escape was the right thing to do, and that you wanted it too. You wanted to make me believe that it doesn't matter what happens to you as long as I'm alright. I don't like that. Man, this was fun. I'm gonna play this by my own rules. It was fun and she was just lovable. Sorry. That's why I want to change the rules. How about this? If you cut it out with the unpleasant secrets, the man called Haruaki Fuseishi will trust Rikako Uematsu. Seriously lovable. I will survive for Rikako Uematsu's sake, while you will survive for Haruaki Fuseishi's sake. And if we both survive, you can ask Haruaki Fuseishi for whatever you want, and I can do the same with Rikako Uematsu. Willing to gamble on that? Sounds way more fun, don't you think? Rikako-san was trembling. Her face was all red, her eyes were full of tears, and her shoulders were shivering. This might be a foolish misunderstanding of mine, but do you mean that, I wasn't rude enough to force her to say it. Instead of waiting, I just embraced her. Okay, this is similar to the Chiemi kiss that we had. Like, in a similar terms of, like, impact, I think. I'm not going to abandon you and run away. That'd mean letting go of such a tasty-looking woman. It'd be one hell of a waste. So please survive. Well, are you taking the bet? I felt her heated breath on me. It seemed to penetrate my shirt. Then she stabbed me. No, you must flee. You're adorable. So much that I wanted to take her right then and there. But the rest will have to wait for later. No, now. I'll have to ask you that again when the bet's won. That alright with you, Rikako-san? I tightened my embrace a little. Eventually she nodded, still in the wager. Good night. You too, good night. It's a battle, I shouted, and she responded with a hua. The footing continued for a bit, and then we parted ways. Alright. With that out of the way, I had to make sure she kept up her side of things this time. Okay. Now, who to choose today? The situation was completely unlike yesterday. I wonder if Haruaki is going to choose for me this time. Otherwise, we can get more keys, and maybe we get a lot of keys just by doing snake investigation. Takumi-san was in an even more critical position than before. It reminded me of Kaori-san's situation from last time. If he went out of control, the only one who could stop him was probably Kanza-san, but even then, someone could die. Kinosuke was, as Mochi had pointed out in the feast, a convenient dumping ground for votes. Knowing Kanza-san's influence, Mamiya-san would definitely become a candidate for a hanging. In fact, it was more or less obvious that she was an enemy by now. On the other hand, we had people in important positions in completely different ways than yesterday. Mochi had good intuition and used it on me a lot. And Haru-chan, she had little to do with the feast, but she might have had a hint or two regarding my looping phenomenon. Investigating her would be completely personal, but I'd already let Tyson die because of my selfishness, so that wouldn't be special. It was pretty messed up, clearly, but so was a situation where a selfless act could prove fatal. Besides them, Kaori-san, the old wolf guy, and Yoshitsugu-kun were still total blanks. Whether Kaori-san was a wolf or a human, she'd be a real danger if her sons died. She wasn't a good target for the snake. Yoshitsugu-kun had a tendency to go wild, but he had little influence over the feast. The old wolf guy was the same as always, an unpredictable vote. I wouldn't pick them this time. Come to think of it, could I investigate the same person I checked yesterday? It'd probably be pointless, but I was curious. Who did I have to go for? Wow. We have a lot of options. I'm going to assume that I can just investigate everybody, right? Let's see. There has to be a reason why I can do this, but I'm most interested in Haru right now because of the direct confrontation about my looping phenomenon. I don't know if she's actually a wolf. I think Shikamoshi could be. We have already investigated, I think, all three of these, right? The first night was between Takumi, Kinosuke, and Hisako, and I think we investigated all three. I can actually check my keys, right? Was it those three? I'm not remembering if Takumi was actually one of them or not. Yeah, Takumi, Kinosuke, and then Hisako. So we can get 2 additional keys by looking at Chikamochi and Haru. So let's actually do Chikamochi first. And then I think we should be able to just go back to that choice. I wrote down the name, left it near my pillow, and went to sleep. Okay. I think that is Wolf. Right? To the genius, you can view in the keys. Alright. Cool. Alright, well, wait. Don't go to the next day. Don't go to the next day. I said don't go to the next day. How dare you? Alright, so yeah, I'm going to assume. So that is truth of the genius. Chikamochi, he's a wolf. Yep. Okay. So I think this might be the timeline that we stick to. That being said, I am going to go back to Investigation 2 and at least learn the identity of Haru. And I might loop back one more time just because he said something about should we see if we can investigate the same person twice. Maybe it's something. But I think that option is only there so that way you can get all the keys if you didn't get them the first time. I wrote down the name, left it near my pillow, went to sleep. Okay. So Haru, probably going to be human. Yeah, I think that's the human one. Okay. Truth of the girl, yep. So now we have that key. Whoops. Now we have that key. Let's just show it in the keys to show that we actually got it. Truth of the girl is she's a human. Judging from her change of behavior, she probably isn't the badger this time. That's a load off my mind, which is good. And I think we only learn between human and wolf. So if somebody is the badger, I think they would still come. They would still come back as human. So that's that. I actually think I'm not going to bother reinvestigating the same person because I don't see the point. But I am going to go back to the timeline where Chikamochi is the one that I investigated because I think if I go forward with Haru, that might not, like, I don't know. Chikamochi might do something to put himself out there no matter who I choose. But I think for my personal sake, I'm going to go into the timeline where I investigate Chikamochi. Know that he's a wolf, and then maybe that will help down the line. It probably won't. Maybe this is a day that, like, we get executed at the feast, or maybe we don't make it through the next night no matter what happens. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, this is the timeline that I'm going to go forth with. You can let me know in the comments if there was a reason to investigate the same person twice. You don't even need to spoil it and say that, oh, this is what you would have learned, unless it's like not, if it's inconsequential, then, then you can. But if it's like a big spoiler thing and you like want me to go back, I still can. That's the beauty of this game. But I have a feeling that it doesn't actually do anything to investigate one of the other people again. So, here we go. I woke up to yet another day. Who didn't? That's important here. And got the info I wanted as a snake. You could all say the wolves had let me live. Could I trust that Yasunagi-kun and Mochi were the only ones who suspected me? I could contribute to the human survival by hiding my identity as a snake and gathering information about the others. However, that had me worried. Would everyone believe the snake who'd survive by hiding his identity and revealing himself late into the game? I was particularly worried about Kanzo-san. He hadn't said anything completely wrong so far, but there was a tendency for anyone he cast suspicion on to be dogpiled by the others. That seemed intentional on his part, but it seemed like a mistake to me. Yasunagi-kun's attempt at resistance hadn't gone well so far. He didn't have many cards to play yet. Perhaps he believed that I could be one of those cards? Would I be able to act today? Weighing my options, I opened the door and saw Takumi saying, "Why is he right there?" Ow! My surprised gasp quickly became a cry of pain. Knocked backwards, I was thrown back into the hut. Uh-oh. What happened? Who died? Sitting on the floor, I looked up at him. He wasn't saying a thing. His expression was stern, and his eyes seemed to be boiling with hatred. In his left hand, he held a hoe! Even that seemed like a lethal weapon when held by a man with such a threatening visage. Yeah, if he's, like, threatening me with it, that is a deadly weapon, absolutely. He was out of control, and I was clearly in danger. He still wasn't saying anything, not because of hesitation, but because he was waiting for my reaction? He would decide what to do based on what I did. Why are you here? Still on the floor, I asked him that. 2 died today. Wait. How? Oh, did the corruption get somebody? His response wasn't an answer to my question, but it was an important thing nonetheless. We had a death that broke the rule of 1 per day, 1 per night, something commonplace during the previous loop. It had happened again. Who? I was more or less certain that one of them was Yoshitsugu Oribe. The boy went wild during the first night last time, and he tried the same this time, so I assumed that another night was all he needed to gather the resolve to go wolf hunting. Instead of answering, though, Takumi-san just took a step forward and closed the door behind him. What? He crouched down and looked at me in the eyes, but even from that position, he loomed over me. Dude, I'm scared. You said you voted for me to protect me yesterday. His voice was quiet, but I hear barely concealed rage in it. Explain that to me in a way even I can understand. He then rested his right hand on the hoe. I couldn't read his true intentions. However, he was definitely in charge here, and a wrong answer would be punished harshly. This would be a tough one. I knew this would happen. Huh? I had to consider what was on his mind. He was probably planning to beat me up no matter how I responded. However, he did seem to leave some space for consideration in case I gave him a good answer. I was now being tested. In this situation, he'd only understand if I provided him with something unexpected. If I could do that, I could get him to agree with me. I had already planned a response to this. It was both well-rounded and difficult to pull off. Yesterday, you were at a crossroads. You always believed that Yasumizu was unified and that no one here would kill anyone else. However, since you also valued their words, regardless of which generation they were from, you were unable to commit to a course of action. I paused for a second. Go on. He prodded me with the hoe. Don't flash red like that. Every time that red flashes like that, I think I'm dying. Like, please, I don't want to die right now. I mean, I do want to die in this game, but not without getting more information first. It didn't hurt, but it seemed antagonistic. However, he was still giving me a chance to talk. Also, the red flash with this music I just equate to somebody dying, and I feel like I mentioned that, and this music probably plays a lot more often without somebody dying, but I don't know why I just equated to that. So it just feels like this is such a death talk, even though, logically, I feel like nobody's going to actually die here. The elders, especially Tai Yamawaki-san, believe that the feast was a paranormal phenomenon with absolute power over all within, and that death was unavoidable. The legend she recounted to us was the reason why Yasumizu became isolated, even here in Fujiyoshi, but it was also part of its identity. Make it simple. Because of the story about killing the wolves in revenge, Yasumizu was given the unfair role of being the defense against Yomi. However, if you accepted life here and looked at it from an optimistic standpoint, the story was actually something to be proud of. That was why, despite saying that the stories were nonsense, you couldn't just brush them off. You seem to understand me so far. On the other hand, you are better at using your head and thinking logically than most others here, so you are better at telling the truth from lie. That was why you could relate to Chemi-chan's and Yasunagi-kun more modern, logical ways of thinking. One had lived in the city while the other had a keen mind. However, they themselves looked at the situation differently. While one calmly thought that you couldn't just go off and murder, the other calmly thought that you can't avoid murder. You relate to them all. That was why you wanted to take the middle road, but that would make it impossible for you to move forward or back. As the leader of Yasumizu and the mediator between the generations, you had to live up to their expectations. That was why you decided to assume who were the enemies of Yasumizu and prioritize attacking them. Fortunately for you, you had a few options. One of them was the mystery girl Meiko, another was Rikaku-san, she was a village head, and they had a history of prejudice against Yasumizu, and then there was me, the guy with the unknown background. After that, there was Mamiya-san, her identity was clear but she was still an outsider, and lastly, Nosato-san, the village head who didn't seem to know anything because he was a second child. Of course, Yamawaki-san and Kaori Oribe-san, both of whom you were close to, were lowest on this list. You simply wanted to attack them based on this order because you wanted to avoid hurting those you were sympathetic to. I wouldn't call it unreasonable, it's natural to believe that the invaders are the enemies, rather than that your neighbors became murderers. You were able to carry on this way of thinking until yesterday morning. No one died that night after all. However, that all crumbled at noon when Yasumizu's people prioritized killing a local mainstay over an outsider. And that's why you locked yourself up. You needed time to rethink your strategy. You considered how to rework your list of enemies and how to determine Tai Yamawaki-san's murderer. My words were cut off when he threw away the hoe and grabbed me by my collar. That's not true. Being shaken by his powerful fist made it hard to breathe, but it wasn't violence just yet. If it really isn't, you can argue with words instead of threats. That's how you usually are, right? However, you decided to create enemies for yourself. That left you with only one option: oppose the ones who killed Tai-san and avenge her by attacking them. No. Yes, if she couldn't have a guardian, it was clear that Mamiya-san's attitude was weird, and yet the one who was hanged was Tai-san. That was why you thought that the wolves must have banded up and voted for Tai-san. They had to be lurking among those who voted her into her death. I'm sure that's what you thought, and in turn, I thought this. At this point, the guilt from not saving her would get to you, and you would go berserk without any regard for yourself. Perhaps to the point of killing all the suspects, even if it meant getting the corruption. That's why I thought about what I had to do. If I voted for Yamawaki-san, I would be your enemy number one. Meiko was young, and while Rikaku-san voted for Yamawaki-san, she accepted that. Me, though, I have nothing. If you went berserk and started killing, I'd be the first on your list. That was why I couldn't vote for her. Yo, he's making a lot of good points. Why is Haruaki, so smart sometimes? That's your reason? You had another choice, damn it. He was right. Though Tai-san had already had more votes, I saw the difference clearly and could use my vote to take it to the final vote. Even so, I couldn't vote for Hisako Mamiya. Why? You suspected her too, didn't you? And now? What was I to do here? There was no guarantee that no one was listening. It was probably best to assume that someone was. Even if there wasn't, was it a good idea to tell him about my guardian? I didn't have much time to think about this. Takumi-san grabbed the hoe again. Whoa, wait a minute. What is key 10? I have key 10? Oh, because key 10 is, the truth of the young leader. Okay. So, I am going to make an assumption that I am going to die if I don't trust him. Wait a minute. This might unlock an ending for me, though. Trust him is clearly the option I want. If I don't trust him, do I get a unique ending? Because I do want to get all the endings. Okay, I want to see if he kills me with a hoe. Okay, yeah, let's see if he kills me. I'm interested. I was rotten to the core. I was the type who balked at trusting others. Loved ones made the right decisions in times of hardship. Help would come when you were in danger, genuinely meaning the sweet nothings you whispered for life. I think with this background, that usually means that I'm about to die. I think. If I asked people how they could be so sure about any of those, I'd be treated as cold-hearted for the most part. But trusting others meant taking risks, and the responsibility of those risks would fall on me, not the person I put my trust in. Of course, there were some situations where I had to take risks, situations where I didn't know if I'd succeed or not, and got conflicting advice from others. I wanted to avoid situations like that, but if I had no choice, how would I choose whose opinion to go with? That was obvious by viewing them with an objective level of trust, by ignoring subjective impressions and basing it on past data and the advice with a valid chance of success. Was it crazier to trust others based on character or blood ties? Those who made choices based on how long they'd known someone or familial bonds could do what they pleased. I'd be damned if I fell for those scams. I wouldn't trust them if they couldn't take responsibility for those risks on their own. No, I couldn't trust them. For the first time in my life, I felt that working against me. Takumi-san was probably a human. There was almost no chance he was a wolf. But I could feel my distrustful nature scolding me for thinking I could trust him later, once I investigated him with the snake. There was a non-zero chance his anger was all an act and he was just trying to intimidate me into confessing I was the snake. It was nearly zero, but not entirely. Swindlers and tricksters all took advantage of that risk to use others. If this were a malicious trap, the cost of this risk would be my death and defeat for the humans. Am I going to die? I can't say. In the end, I just repeated that. My inability to trust him was probably based on abnormal levels of caution, that of my distrustful nature. And yeah, releases a grip on me. I lost balance foot to the floor. I groaned in pain as I hit my backside, looked up and saw. I see. Takumi-san holding the hoe aloft. Fine then, die. Yeah, he's going to kill me. Let's go. He swung it down. There we go. Okay. Maybe it was fortunate that this death had taught me a lesson. Distrust was not a perfect defense strategy, especially when faced with great physical danger. I learned that at the cost of my life. Then maybe I could put that to good use next time. Yeah. More importantly, perhaps it would be best to gain some proof ahead of time that I could trust him. Yeah, I had the proof. I just wanted the unique ending. Absolutely. Bad ending number 15. Let's go. I'll watch the hint corner just so I can get a name for this ending. That's about the only reason that I would. You've done it now. This is a tricky one. Let's get to the hint. Listen well. Oh. Wait, here we go. Bad ending number 15. The Youthfulator's Enraged Punishment Death. It's the first bad ending you can get in Raging Loop for forgetting to take a key. Nice. If you already got key 10, you'll definitely get a choice, but without it, it's a dead end. Yeah, but we already got key 10. Alright, I'm not going to let him finish this thing. We already know. I just wanted the name for it. But the hint corner isn't giving me anything else. So, let's go and make the right choice about trusting him. What's I do here? Yeah. Okay. Alright, I'm interested to see what I'm going to say when I trust him. Yep, he grabbed and trust him. Let's go. I do like that obvious, like, that was such an obvious, like, you're going to die, and I'm really glad that the game didn't, like, drag it out for even longer. I'm glad that it was kind of an immediate, like, yeah, you're going to die. Because I do want to get all the endings, but I also don't want to just, like, waste my time. You know what I mean? So that was definitely the balance that I'm looking for. That was pretty good. My decision wasn't due to trusting him personally. I did it solely because I knew he wasn't a wolf. I'm the snake. Still, that was enough info to allow me to reveal it to him. That's why I knew she was a fake right from the start. His grip relaxed for a second, but then why didn't you say it? If you'd reveal yourself, Bachan wouldn't have... It's because I understood that the wolves wanted to know who the snake was, even if it meant sacrificing one of their own. What do you mean? Yesterday, I said that to make an active effort to win, the wolves had to pretend to have guardians, but by that, I meant the wolves as a group. No matter how good of an actor you are, by acting like you have a guardian, you will be suspected and put in danger. As a result, the faker would eventually be hanged, but it would have bought some time for the remaining wolves. However, pretending to have a guardian when no one had died was way too risky. The real one was still alive after all. That meant that the wolves could have been planning only one thing, to draw out the real snake and kill them that very night. There was also the possibility that she was a badger, but that would have only made it more confusing, so I admitted it. I did nothing to stop Yamawaki San's death. I won't deny that. However, I thought it was necessary for me to survive and get back at the wolves. I couldn't have voted for Mamiya-san either. It was to keep the wolves from realizing that I actually knew exactly what she was. That was why instead of using my vote on them, I used it to send you a message. It was a pretty bad plan if I say so myself. I had no idea if you would understand. But the result is clear. You came to me and gave me a chance to explain myself. This chance was necessary for me. What do you mean? Can you let me go? He did as I asked. We can avenge Tai-san by fixing the majority and killing all the wolves. However, for that, I need you to trust me. I already trust you. After all, I used the snake's power to confirm that you're a human. Can you trust me? This was very one-sided. However, it was in line with his desire. Okay, I actually feel better because sometimes I get a little confused if the game takes into the account of all the choices that I've made or not when presenting a story. But in this instance, when I've clearly used my snake power on him, I did not actually play out any of the scenarios where I used the snake power on him. So all of my information Haruaki does have, which means that he knows that Mamiya is a snake, Chikamochi's a wolf, Chikamochi's a wolf, and that Kiyanosuke, Takumi, and Haru are all human. So like this is information that Haruaki has. No matter which like path I go down, he has all that information. So that is good to keep in mind. He was conflicted between three things: sympathy for me as an unfortunate outsider, the unfairness of the final vote yesterday, and my suggestion. This was especially hard for him because he wanted to be impartial. Also, I still want to know which two people died. I mean, it is a safe bet that it's Yoshitsugu, but like, I want to have that confirmed first. I can't decide that so suddenly. I understand, but I kind of believe that you are the snake. Are you sure that's a good idea? The feast's all about whether you believe or not, right? He had a point. Also, your assumption is right. Which one? I was thinking of killing you yesterday. Whoa. If I'd come here in the state I was yesterday, I'd have probably killed you before listening to anything you had to say. But I couldn't go through with it, probably because I wanted to know what you meant. So I'd work some word magic there, huh? But that has nothing to do with whether or not I trust you or not, and I'll think about your suggestion after you tell me more. That's good enough for me, by the way? You said two people died. Who? Oh, I was just thinking of telling you. Come with me. We gotta find the old man. Alright, let's see. The ones who died today were Haru Makishima and Hisako Mamiya. What? Interesting. Did she die to the corruption by not, doing something properly? That puts us in a weird spot. Wait a minute. That puts us in a super weird spot. Because what if they think that she was the snake that got killed? I mean, I guess most people don't at this point. But, like, there's still an argument to that she could have been the snake and now we've, like, lost a guardian, and then Haru could have just been taken by other means. I really hope it doesn't go that way, but I really don't know what's about to happen. But with the reveal of who died, and the fact that it's not Yoshitsugu, I think we are going to end off here and get some more information about what this means for us on the next time. So, hopefully you are enjoying and looking forward to more. If so, let me know, but I'll see you on the next time. So till then, peace out.